Arizona Legacy is supported by these sponsors.
Visit the giant Mercedes-Benz of Gilbert.
And tell them Charlie sent you.
Cummings Plumbing, the best plumber in Tucson with over 35 years of experience. And Sweet James Accident Attorneys. If you've been injured, get justice with Sweet James.
Changing Hands Bookstore is a multitude of things. It is a community gathering space. It is a bookstore. It is an event space. It is a place to buy that ideal gift. We very much see ourselves as a community gathering space where people come to escape the world and engage with the world at the very same time. Changing Hands began in 1974. The original owners were Gail Shanks and Tom Broderson. They were two school teachers who weren't really excited about teaching, and they wanted to have a place where people shared ideas and exchanged books. And they started as a used bookstore, thus the name Changing Hands Bookstore, with the idea that books change hands. They started with $500 to buy inventory of a store that was going out of business, and they started in 500 square feet. Then it just kept growing from there. The idea that books shape minds, books help us get information. So they're in the nature of reading a book, you're learning something new, you're challenging your idea. Well, then once you do that, you need to engage with others to say, is this true? What do you think about that? Once you're reading, your mind is expanded. You're sharing universal experiences. You're experiencing experience of another through the written word. And then the idea of we started really focusing energy into bringing speakers in, from poets to politicians to former presidents to activists to people who did tarot card readings. And what we loved about that is not only were they sharing their ideas, but by having an audience, there was this community conversation around the ideas. We do all kinds of events. So of course we love the author events when somebody comes out with a brand new book and they speak on it, because in part you've got people, especially young people, who've read those books, and these people are their heroes because they touched them in some way and they get to meet them. And those are some of the most remarkable moments to watch, getting to meet a hero of yours in an intimate way, right? Because a lot of these authors aren't that place yet where you're 2,000 people foot away from them. You actually are 20 feet away from them. But then we also will do a lot of self-created events. We do some things that, I would almost coin as a teach-in. How do you address writing a cover letter? We do writing workshops. But, how can you become a better citizen? We very much advocate and fight for human rights, and we know that our place is to become a bit of a teach-in, where we can help people learn ways to engage in their communities. But then we'll have story times and crafting events. And at our other location, we have a beer and wine bar. So we will have wine tasting events and beer tastings. As we grew our events program, it very much started, we were in the 1970s, so it started with a lot of local authors. But then we knew that to really compete, to really become the community events center that we wanted to become, we had to start going after national authors. And that was a lot of work. I came on and with the intention of growing our author program. And I had to convince, these publishers in New York that we had an airport, that LA was not our closest airport, that we were not a flyover state. Lucky for us, there were some amazing bookstores in our region, such as Tattered Cover in Denver, that had a robust author program. So we were able to just start saying, we know we can sell this many books, we know we can get this amount of people, and a few authors at the beginning took a chance on Arizona. So it was one of those 20 years overnight successes of becoming a place where renowned speakers came to visit. We absolutely pride ourselves in being a generational space, and I could speak to the fact that now that we're 50 years, we actually have employees working here who their first time in our store was in their mom's belly. We want to represent our entire community, and that is a challenge that we accept and we want to do well, and I think that what makes us a community space and so generational is that we try to offer everything for everyone, but you really can grow up here. And I think the other thing it speaks to is we are, in many ways, trying to be many things under one roof, which is both a place to escape the world when it can be really hard, but a place to learn more about the world when it can be really hard. So having Changing Hands just turned 50, and what I hope on the ground level is we have another 50 years here. I hope that we can find the future leadership, which we see here every day, who will take over this store into the future. And what I certainly hope of that future leadership is that we continue to be as responsive to our changing and evolving community, and we're able to balance the needs of our community and the needs of being a sustainable business. You know, being part of Changing Hands is humbling. I very much feel like a steward of a place and a time. When things come up in our community that are difficult, I love the fact that we get to say, how do we help? And by being part of an independent bookstore, we get to say, how do we help? One of the important things about independent bookstores is that we matter, and we know we matter, and we survive when our community knows that we matter. You know, to our community that has kept us here, and it is the only reason we are here, it is thank you, thank you, thank you. Because when somebody does shop in an independent bookstore, they're making a choice to keep us here.